And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
Yeah, I'm not anti Taron Egerton. I guess for me, weirdly, who the next Wolverine would be, I feel like completely depends on like who the other X-Men would be. Because I feel like you have to have a certain type of Wolverine to match whatever the group dynamic is.
Yeah. Is it weird that I want my
X-Men.
Wolverine to be like 10 years older than the other X-Men cast? Like at the very least.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, why like with the Taron Egerton, Daniel Radcliffe, I'm not mad at that because of the actors. I'm like, they feel too young to me. Like,
sure.
Like unless the X-Men are going to be like kid X-Men, like they feel too young for me. Like,
yeah,
I would want my Wolverine to kind of be like the
babies. You just do
yeah, exactly. Like I always see my Wolverine as kind of like, yeah, like he's not the leader, but he's like the oldest. If like obviously age, he's the oldest one in the group.
Sure. It's like kind of like, you know what did it really well? X-Men Evolutions, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Where he's like more of a mentor figure. He can be reluctantly a mentor figure. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's very Wolverine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that to me, like feels like it works the best. And
you'll catch all this type of content on any minute now, coming soon, coming any minute now.
They said that you can't have more than 2 podcasts, and apparently we are defying odds every day. Phooey. I think I have to force myself not to be in some of these conversations, otherwise I will have no time left. But yeah, you can, speaking of feral animals, you were listening to...
Oh, what a segue. Okay. We do this in real life.
Yeah, we do it in real life. You're listening to And Are You Okay? A Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Mikey. Darth Plagueis the Unwise, because clearly I am not up to date on my High Republic.
I feel like on this topic, you'll be I feel like you're informed again. The re-informed. Yeah. Darth Plagueis the re-informed.
Oh, I'm re-informed, I'm wise, and I'm here with my co-partner, my co-pilot, if you will, the Rogue One, the Rogue Only, Matthew Porter, a.k.a. Matty Ice. Tell him what all your other nicknames are, my friend.
Broby-Wan Kenobi, a.k.a. Mace Windu, a.k.a. Smack Talker Skywalker, a.k.a. your main from the Gray Hoodie Gang, fresh off his 9 to 5, about to hit hyperdrive, punch it, Chewie.
I am so, we've been covering the Acolyte, where we're back. And
this is the first time we've done a duo podcast in a minute. It's been a minute.
In a minute. Sometimes we.
It's been an Annie minute now.
It's been an Annie minute now. Anyways, we decided to do a little bite-size episode, maybe a little palate cleanser.
Bite. I see what you did there, because animals be biting.
Oh, you're right about that, my friend. There's been a lot going on in the Star Wars stratosphere concerning the Acolyte. We decided, why don't we take a step back? Why don't we?
A lot of negativity. Let's inject some positivity into the fan base.
Right,
let's have some fun.
So we're gonna do a bite-sized, lighthearted episode, and I'm gonna drop a spoiler warning here. Not sure how we could spoil, but it always comes up. And, I just, let me get through the description, and then, Matt, I'm going to hand it off to you to dive into our first one here. But Star Wars, while being known for its lightsabers, trooper designs, and cantinas full of aliens, it's an inflection point of all things imagination. But a vital, underrated piece of its DNA are the creatures that give our heroes and villains obstacles to overcome, that keep our hearts pounding and plots moving. We are going to discuss our top 3 Star Wars creatures, probably sneak in some honorable mentions along the way, and, have some fun while we're doing it. So, Matt, I'm going to hand it off to you. Why don't we do descending order? So give me your 3. We'll get to our top 3 creatures. And we have not discussed this, so I'm sure that we will probably have a little bit of overlap. If we don't, I will be a little surprised. However,
I got some,
there are a lot of creatures.
Backups.
So
I got some backups. So, you know, because I am captain asking for forgiveness and not permission, I'm gonna break your rule right off the bat real quick.
This is why I
this isn't all my three. And I hope it's not in yours.
He said, "Did you just mansplain creatures to me?" And I said, "No, I Annie-splained creatures to you."
He did.
Because you like to break the rules.
And I'm about to break the rules. But I'm breaking the rules while staying in the theme of the episode. This is I feel like it's a very honorable mention.
And I'm going to lose my shit.
I'm not. I didn't even put Wookiee on my list. This is an honorable mention because it is the honorable mention because a case could be made that this was the original monster in Star Wars. I gotta give it up a resounding tip of the hat for the man that started it off, the trash monster from New Hope.
Oh, the Dianoga? That is number 3 on my list.
Oh no! I hope I didn't steal it from you.
No, it's okay. Let's talk about such a good choice. Why don't you tell me why you picked it, and I'll tell you why I picked it. Maybe we might have.
I literally picked it. So he's actually not my third. Like I said, I was breaking your rule real quick, but cool. I wanted to honorable mention him as being like the first kind of official monster in Star Wars, which is why I picked. Which is why I wanted to give it its flowers right out of the gate, because up until that scene, I feel like, we obviously had like Jawas and Droids and Jedi. Oh my. Jawas and Droids and Jedi. Oh my. Name of this episode.
100%.
But so it's just like, I feel like up until that point, now knowing what I know, that scene fits, but like as a kid watching that, it did feel like I was in a different movie. It felt very Jurassic Parky, which I loved. It very felt Jaws, a creature of the Black Lagoon type of situation. And it's like I always, what's funny? Those rolling the rolling ball monsters from Force Awakens. I always felt like that scene is super unnecessary. Yeah, the Ratars that always felt like a Guardian of the Galaxy scene to me. I didn't feel like it was a Star Wars scene, but like on that same token, as a kid watching that scene, which is one of the best scenes in Star Wars history, like the trash compactor scene. Mm-hmm. But it was just like, oh, this is, I guess up until that scene, Star Wars for me felt like reality-based science fiction, because it's like humanoid creatures, robots, like all things that could realistically exist in my world when I close my eyes. But then you got like this swamp monster, and I was like, oh, this is really a galaxy far away.
Swamp monster.
So I put it on there for like really setting the tone that George Lucas was letting us know, like, oh yeah, no, this is a very whimsical galaxy. Like, it's not just humanoid-ish aliens, but no, we got some freaky shit out there. And boy, did we continue to get some freaky shit out there.
Freaky shit. Use a freaky shit.
What Star-Lord say? Another Guardians reference. He's like, I'm going to make some freaky shit.
So, for a lot of the reasons you said, and then I think I'm just going to piggyback a little bit on the fact that it was, you really hadn't quite experienced anything like it in the New Hope until you get to the trash compactor scene, and it adds this whole level of anxiety to the situation. Like, what's scarier than something you can't see in the water, right? So it plays on these fears that like everybody has, right? No one is like in water and not initially scared of like the unknown there. So I definitely think that that's part of what gives this creature so much of its
je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, but at the same time, as Star Wars has progressed and we get deeper and further into things, like even in the Bad Batch, we start to see more of the Dianoga, and you find out that it's this creature that, it has this like weird head with one eyeball, but it's this gigantic mouth, right? Yeah. So it quite literally is the creature of the deep, something in the Black Lagoon, and I definitely think that there's something about it that it had to crack my top 3. Glad it made it into your honorable mentions. It's really fun to start off the conversation with
honorable mention,
right? With the original monster there, and how they've expanded upon. I think you even see one in Obi-Wan when he's like swimming into Fortress Inquisitoria. So glad to see that it's still popping up from time to time.
I gotta rewatch that. I keep saying I'm gonna rewatch Obi-Wan.
You know what? I might add it to my list too, to just put it on my I'll fall asleep to it. I'll keep watching that shit.
There you go. There you go. It's 6 episodes, a little quick binge.
Yeah, it's a movie made into a show.
Word.
But
Word.
You know what, Matt? Since that was my number 3, I'm gonna hand it off to you for your.
I'll give you my actual number 3. It worked out perfectly. So for my number 3, sheerly based off vibes and aesthetics, it doesn't have much of a presence in Star Wars, but boy is it pretty to look at. I'm gonna go with the Vulpix, the Ice Fox from Last Jedi.
Love that. If a Pokemon was in Star Wars, it would be that.
Exactly.
So beautiful. Definitely one of those things where it's like, I don't care what your opinion is on that movie. The third act of that film is the most aesthetically pleasing Star Wars we've ever gotten.
The red sand under the snow, like so good, so good. But yeah, exactly what you just said. Just aesthetically pleasing. I mean, technically, it did help save the rebels. Like it led them out the back of that cave, and Rey lifted all of the rocks for them to get escape. But yeah, like I said, not much of a strong presence, but it was in the rebel base for the whole third act of the movie, helped them escape. And like I said, and I love when it runs. It's like little chandeliers. Like you hear, just like the little crystals like shagging away.
Very good call out. In terms of like sound design, they really took a lot of care with like that, and it's just a testament to the filmmakers for sure. And it really feels like imagination kind of like put onto the screen. So
yeah, especially for something that probably had a combined total of 2 minutes of screen time, like the care that they put into that, like I said, with the chandelier running sounds and this little yip yip and all, like everything. It was like a very awesome thing to look at. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. But that's my third one. It's my number 3. So, coming in hot. Coming in cold because it's the Ice Fox.
True. Or is it a Salt Fox? Is it a Salt Fox?
Oh, you're right. You're right. True. It could be. Good point. Solid point.
If you lick that thing, you can taste the Himalayas. That's what I hear.
Himalayan sea salt, baby.
You can taste the Himalayas. Shout out to anyone who's ever watched regular show who's listening right
now. There you go. My mom. Check that off.
So I'm going to go to my number 2, which is another creature who has helped out some rebels. There was a lot of talk about how this was the biggest filler episode, and these guys made no sense. And then lo and behold, this is why we put the spoiler warning in the episodes. You get giant space whales saving the day at the very end of a Star Wars animated television show. I'm going to bring up the Purgle because
little Purgles, they were my honorable mention list.
Fun. They exist in space. They can breathe gas in a vacuum. I don't know what it is about it. It's when they come in Ahsoka and they actually take them to Peridia. It so just felt really rewarding. Like the score there, like I just have a very much of a fondness for them. And it shows a different side to like creatures in Star Wars. And I also like the lore about them migrating to another galaxy to die. Like that planet's rings are entirely made of Purgle bones. Like that's just super interesting to me.
So fire. I would
love to see like maybe like a source book that goes through like the actual, what the life cycle of the Purgle are. Like they could be, maybe that's some sort of like bigger meaning thing that we don't fully understand. But to me, it was a welcome addition to Star Wars. A great way to show Ezra's connection to yet another animal in the Star Wars universe, or creature, if you will. So big one for me. I think as time goes on, I'm sure I will continue to have more fondness for them and their importance in the story.
I wonder if part of the reason why the Purgles only like take that drive to the new galaxy to go and die like certain times, like every 100 years or wherever it is because it's like they need the ones that went before them time to fully decompose. They're not trying to see all that. It was like they should. Jimmy should be bones now. I think I can go.
Oh God, it smells terrible out here.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I would imagine like when they go there to die. Yeah, exactly. Like shit. Like, who marked the wrong date on the calendar? Because I would imagine like if they all go there to mass pass away, then there's just a lot of like floating dead whale corpses just in the atmosphere until they decompose.
They can't hear you scream in space, but they can certainly smell you decompose in space is what the Purgle have told us.
That's what the elders say. That's what wise men before us have said. All right, so I'm gonna go with my number 2. Another animal that has helped Jedi in the past. Another one. You'll see a theme on my list for animals with not a lot of screen time, but very big impacts. Not even necessarily in story beats, but just on Star Wars culture. I'm gonna go with number 1 on your hearts and in between your legs as you sit on the saddle. I'm gonna go with the Varactyl, aka Obi-Wan's horse friend from Revenge of the Sith that he used to chase down General Grievous. I've always loved that animal. Like, I don't know, like when Obi-Wan just comes busting off, chasing after Grievous in his little wheel bike, and he's just doing all that thing. I've always had to find this.
Cry.
Yeah, I've always had to find this too. And then when he gets shot down by Cody and is doing the cry as it falls, during Order 66, I feel like with that being like I guess technically on screen the first shot fired in Order 66, that scream echoing with that score and them falling into the water was just like heartbreaking.
Yo,
I just remember that moment.
How, obviously, we haven't known each other our entire lives, but I literally
the shared experience that we had.
Yeah, I can feel the echoes of your sadness like reverberate through time. Because I felt the same exact way.
It was bad,
I
bro.
still do. When you watch it back, it's still sad. And such a great creature. I also think you would agree with this, but you've made it as a Star Wars creature if they've made you out of Lego. And he has been made out of Lego. A great
and that's what I'm saying. Like and you would probably know this more than I would, but I don't remember seeing. Well, because like I'm a. No shout outs to the readers of the world, but books don't help me suspend my disbelief because I'm a very literal person, so I just see words on the page. But so I'm knowledgeable off of like legends and extra lore shit just based off me getting caught in like YouTube and internet wormholes, not because I read the direct
share that
like
with
content.
A lot of people. I mean, I used to frequent Wikipedia as like a young
bro. I still do pop in Wikipedia every now and again. But I don't remember ever seeing any other one of those like in the show other than the one Obi-Wan read. So it's just like it just has like this mystique and legend behind it. Like, where did Obi-Wan get that from? Like, why haven't there been more? Are there more? Was he a one of one? Like,
was he imported?
And then, like I said,
are they native too?
Yeah, exactly. Like, was he on Canto Bight, the casino planet? Like, did Obi-Wan win him in a bet? Like, where did he come from? Did Lando outsource him for the rebels? Who knows? But like you said, like him being a Lego figure, him or her or they. I won't assume to know its pronouns, but that I'm turning into a Lego character, and again having not the most amount of screen time, but leaving a very impactful like that. They're a forever memory. Quite a stag.
For sure. I also want to call out I guess like I don't know if maybe you would agree that this is slightly aesthetic, but when the Boga, I think Boga's its name. It is Varactyl. You're right.
Yeah, it's a Varactyl.
Like the creature name. I love that as it runs, whenever it stops, it slides. As if its momentum is like stronger than its actual like able to stop itself. Like I don't know. There's something about the way it moves that's really interesting.
Simpatico. I always took that as for some reason I always based off the color and the feathers and everything. I always imagined it as like a foresty tropical creature. So like I always took that slide as like whatever its grips on its feet are, like the metal, it couldn't like grip to the metal of running on that ship. Yeah. And that's why it would slide. That's how I always looked at that. I was just like, oh, that's such a realistic detail. Don't even know if that's what the detail was, but that's all like, oh, this isn't the terrain that is used to running on, so it slides around. But I always loved that part too. When Obi-Wan takes that big jump off the edge to follow Grievous and it like lands and it has to like catch its balance. Yeah, it has to catch its balance. Yeah. I always took the like,
this is one of those like very rare times where I wish we weren't a not safe for work podcast so that we could get some of these creators to come on and explain to us, like, where did they come up with that? Is that the reason behind it?
We could do not safe. I mean, we could do safe for work episodes.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Also,
I get what you're saying.
Because we're contractually obligated to talk about things that are inappropriate.
At least once. At least one episode.
Boobies. Got him.
Got him.
You know what else has boobies? Number one on my... No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Can you imagine if I said the siren from Octo? That'd be really funny.
I'd roll with you. I would have stayed with you in solidarity. I would have stood with you in solidarity, bro.
So I'm going to move to my number one is a very menacing creature. Actually, it's been in Star Wars lore for a very long time, but we haven't seen. Well, actually, this might be slightly controversial, but I would hope to think that everybody is much more into its newest iteration, its latest design, and the canon version of it.
I feel like I know where you're going with this.
And that is going to be one Krayt Dragon.
I knew it. I purposely didn't put the Krayt Dragon on my list because I knew you were going to put it on yours.
I gotta be honest, one of my favorite new additions to canon. We've always seen the bones in A New Hope, and you've fought against it in like the Old Republic, although it's not nearly as menacing as it is in The Mandalorian. I just love everything about it. The fact that it has like multiple legs. It's using the acid from its mouth to like swim through the Dune Sea. I just think that, to me, that creature is one of the things that you're going to be able to run into one playing Star Wars Outlaws. Like, I'm so excited to like be shitting my pants and keep speeding away from that. That game is going
to be great.
So the Krayt Dragon is very high on the list. I also just like the idea of dragons who, instead of spraying fire, spray acid. That's something that's been explored in fantasy for a really long time. Shout out to Legend of Vox Machina, who has a dragon who does that. Very scary. Somehow more disgusting than being burned alive is being, just completely disintegrated by acid. Rest in peace to all those.
It's probably a lot more painful.
Yeah, for sure. But it made the top of my list in terms of my favorite creatures in Star Wars. It's something that I think could pose a big threat in a lot of different ways, and I hope to see it used again and again in all types of Star Wars video games and maybe even some movies and TV shows.
Love it. Yes, I had a feeling Krayt Dragon was going to be on your list, and I even had a more feeling that was probably going to be your number one. So that's why I stayed away from it so you could have your moment. My number one, going with the theme of animals that had not a lot to do, but boy, did they leave an impact. I will set the scene. I was a young lad in the early 2000s, preteen, going through life, loving me some Star Wars, and fresh onto the scene, a actor who we hadn't seen before assumes the role of Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones, a young Hayden Christensen, the legend who now gets his flowers, the jumper himself, and we see his father figure turned brother figure. Father figure turned brother figure for some reason, who knows, gets captured on a little planet we like to call Geonosis. And we know Anakin and his soon to be wife, they go to rescue him, they get captured, and they get put into this pit, a Geonosian pit with a bunch of animals. And I would say the number one animal on my list, he kind of got bitched out by Padme, but the Nexu. I love that little big mouth tiger animal. I've always loved it. It gave me Natalie Portman's midriff to fawn over as a young man. I got a good look at that belly button because of that animal. But yeah, there's just something about just for that. There's something about the Nexu. Like I said, not a lot of screen time, but boy, it had a big impact. Just the design, its teeth, its mouth, the stripes. I've always had a fondness for like I guess cat type animals. I'm not the biggest cat, like the word cat fan. I always like the cat that is my cat in my house. But outside, I will say this for the cat fans who might want to try to cancel me. I have nothing but reverence for cats. Like I revere and fear them to an extent.
Elegant creatures.
Cats are very intimidating. You have a dog, I will run up to it and give it all love and affection. You have a cat, I will bow to it. Like, this is your house, sir or ma'am. Like, I am just a vessel. just passing through. But yeah, the next suit, everything, and purple's my favorite color, and it had like this kind of like light purplish gray tint to it, and just everything about the next suit, I just found to be fire. The spikes on his back, the long whippy tail, it kind of looks like a Siberian white tiger. There's everything about the next suit in its design. Like I said, he went out like a little bitch. Or they or she went out like a little bitch. But yeah, the next suit is my favorite. And I don't know, just literally from seeing Attack of the Clones in the movie theater to even when I like rewatch it now on occasion when I just want to like go through the prequel trilogies all the time as comfort movies. It's just I always just get excited for that part. You know, just that was the one that they had to like keep contained. Obviously the giant spider monster was like that. That was a motherfucker too. She was a bad bitch. She was a bad bitch. But something about the next suit is just like just the rabidness. It's stalking around when Padme climbed to the top, just trying to nip at her and everything. Just everything about the Nexu screams, "Ooh yeah, I love you, Nexu."
Amazing. I actually thought you were gonna say the Reek for some reason, but the Nexu is an amazing pick. I think you mentioned this, but I love when it like kills the Geonosian guard that's like ushering it towards them.
Yep.
It is just totally rabid, very intimidating and dangerous. Such a great creature design. I also love that its mouth is like a bear trap.
Yes.
With more teeth.
Yep.
Like it's insane how like everyone who designed like one of those three creatures for the Geonosis arena just completely ate. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they got like, I'm sure there are a lot of things pitched, but I'm really glad that those three kind of like made it in, and the Nexu being your top is definitely it's worth it.
You know what randomly reminds me of the Nexu and like pop culture? It's such a reach. You know how like with the Beats pill, they have the commercial where they like kind of make it like a humanoid thing, and it's got like the eyeballs, and it's like a holder that has the mouth of the pill. That literally reminds me of the next. Like every time I see those Beats pill commercials with those little come to life speakers, and they just have the really big mouths, like because it's the Beats pill is their mouth. It looks like the Nexu's head.
It is. I mean, the Nexu's head is wide as shit. So I hear.
There's a Pokemon that reminds me of that too. I can't think of the name of it, but it also has like a long mouth,
wide mouth. I
feel like it's like a crocodile-ish, and it's not like a totodile or a crocodile or for alligator, but I feel like there is like I think it's more of a right? it might be I feel like it's a newer generation Pokemon who I'm not too familiar with, but once I get my free Switch, I'll be I'll be on it. But yeah, the Nexu is my number one. It's very near and dear to my heart.
Love it. We've hit that point where we're ready for some honorable mentions.
Did you do your number one?
Yeah, Crate Dragon, bro.
Oh shit, yeah, fucking dickhead. Sorry, just wanted to keep it going.
So I'm going to drop in here another cat. It didn't break my top three, but gotta go with the Loth Cat. I'm surprised the Loth Cat didn't. If Ray the Ruiner was here, that would have been on her. It probably would have been her list, yeah.
Definitely.
So that's up there. And you can't mention a Loth Cat without mentioning Loth Wolves. So I feel like that's also pretty up there. And then my last honorable mention, I'm a little surprised it didn't make your list. However, I'm mad at it because I had a very hard time killing it in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And so the Rancor is currently on my shit list, but it has to be in my honorable mentions because it is quite de facto one of the greatest Star Wars creatures.
Mikey, I've been accused of being a bit anti, so that's why it didn't make my list.
Is it because of Jedi Survivor?
No, it's literally because like I feel like it was very low hanging fruit to put on the most favorite Star Wars monster list.
It sure is. Well, Give me
But
the
I do
rest of
love
your
the
honorable
Rancor.
mentions, because there's another one that I'm like, I just was like, I don't know if it's gonna make my list.
So
but
there-
it's a,
all right.
a big Star Wars creature.
So there is one that like would have been my fourth, but I'll do that in my honorable mention. She'll be my last one. So I have 3 that we haven't covered yet. So for the sake of nostalgia, definitely got to throw the Tauntaun on there.
Oh,
Definitely got to throw the Tauntaun for the nostalgia. And like, oh, I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Just that one line makes the Tauntaun a legend. Like, you take that line, fuck that goat, fuck that 2-footed goat. With that line, love that 2-footed goat cheap thing. So definitely throwing the Tauntaun. Gotta throw. I wouldn't even put the whole species on here. I'll make it very secular. My man Wicket. The fucking Ewoks. Gotta throw the Ewoks, and Wicket is my fucking guy.
It's blurred. The lines are blurred here. That's why I was because to me, the Ewoks are kind of like Wookiees in the sense. It's like, yeah, they're creature-esque, but they're sentient. Like, they know what's going on. They got a civilization, even though they eat people.
But like when I tell you, like, again, like Ewoks, and I love the Ewok movies as a kid. I remember those as a child, but like Wiccan specifically is my fucking guy. Like, he's just a little ball of terror, and he's like my spirit animal. You know what? I might get a Wiccan tattoo. Like, thinking about it. like if I end up with one, you heard it here first. Like, but Wicket was my fucking guy. So for that reason, I did put the Ewoks on. But if we did a list of 5 and or 4, this would have definitely made the cut as probably my 4th. I gotta give it to the Zillo Beast. I just have a fondness. I have such a fondness for the Zillo Beast from Bad Batch. For the work that it did in Bad Batch, that's why it made my list.
People are probably shocked that it did not grace my honorable mentions. Me being such a Star Wars animation aficionado.
I didn't put it in my 3 because I thought that it was going to make your 3.
It's a great creature. It's the most kaiju creature we've gotten, even more so than the Krayt Dragon. I will give it that. But not quite as high on my list. Still a very great creature. And then one last honorable mention here, because I also feel like you brought up the Tauntaun. You also got to bring up the Wampa, right?
Absolutely.
It's a big deal. There's lots of other creatures. Actually, this is a great time to call out. Like, tell us if we didn't cover off on one of your creatures, like, feel free to shoot us a comment and tell us about.
Talking to you, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's right. I want to hear it. Maybe we'll bring some of them up on a future episode. We'll bring in some of the fan answers of your favorite creatures. Give us a 1-sentence why it should have made our list. And tried to talk not as much shit as you want, but like maybe just a little bit so that we can react to it properly.
Little bit of shit.
And, give us the business, but not like the whole thing. I'm not looking for like a Fortune 500.
Oh shit! I had one more. Dang, I buried the lead. But the Zillo Beast would have been number 4 on my list. But did you have any other honorable mentions?
Nope, that's it for me.
I have one, and it's solely based off the lore of this creature, because it has come up in not 1 but 2 stories in the Star Wars universe. And if you just watched the movies, I don't believe you would have seen what one looks like. I think one does show up in one of the animated series, but I put the Gundark.
Gundam, great.
Yes. Because it sounds like Gundam, and Gundam Wing is one of my favorite animes all time.
Who doesn't love a Gundam?
And we know when Han rescues Luke on Hoth, he says, you look strong enough to pull the ears off a Gundar. And in Attack of the Clones, in the elevator scene, Obi-Wan was just like, you haven't looked this on edge since we fell into that Gundark pit. And he's like, no, Master, you fell in. I had to rescue you.
Love that. And you can see the Gundarks in season 1 of the Clone Wars if you want to watch it.
Looks like Hellboy a little bit.
It does look like Hellboy, but like a Hellboy with a couple extra tiny arms.
Yep.
It's certainly an interesting creature, very menacing.
It's like Hellboy and Goro from Mortal Kombat if it had a baby.
That is so accurate. I hope we see one in live action sometime soon. That would be great. Maybe even in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Well, Matt, we said we would give them a bite-sized one, and I am ready to call it quits for today. But before we do so, I just want to call out the fact that we have a sister podcast called Dragon Ball for Life. You can go listen to Matt and our good friend Travis, who hosted over there with commonly with Miss Majin,
our girl Bex.
Yeah, she is part of the Trio of Danger, as they have dubbed it, and they certainly have been doing a great job covering. They're going back in time, and they're covering all the Dragon Ball Z movies. So
all of them.
fantastic.
Every single Dragon Ball movie ever made.
Ever.
Ever.
Even a deep cut one that I had to go and find on the dark
Yeah,
web.
you did.
But we found it.
I'm excited to do that one. That's going to be fun.
So you can follow us over there at Dragon Ball for Life on Facebook, or DB4L_pod on Instagram and Twitter. And
Where you come for the content, but you stay for the culture.
Oh, there you go. And you can follow us on Annie, Are You Okay? Annie, Are You Okay? A Star Wars podcast at the letters A and I, Are You Okay? _pod on Instagram and Twitter, where Matt and I are constantly struggling each week to be more social and engaging with everybody. But hopefully that changes for better.
We're working on it. We're working on it. We got some things behind the scenes.
We try our best.
We do. We do try our best.
So, thank you, Matt, for joining me again. I can't do this without you. So why don't you go ahead and close this bad boy out like you always do?
Well, Animaniacs, you know how we close this bad boy out. It could be creatures. It could be sneakers. It could be preachers. Or it could be RDJ again. Life can be a beach, but as long as there's no sand, you guessed it. Victor Von Doom gonna be okay.
Be okay.
Oh man, say the line.
May the force be with you, Matt,
and with you. Later, nerds.
Deuces.